Everybody like, hey, are you ready to go? Ready to go? Everybody like, hey.
All right, what's going on, y'all? Soul here, and welcome back to the story mode. Now, if you've been on this channel for a minute, and you've, actually noticed that a lot of the other videos are gone, that's because I had to do a little bit of a cleanup here. You see, it's been a while since I've actually posted on this channel, and I wanted to get kind of a fresh start, especially because I have been doing Pokemon content for a long time, but I do like other video games, and I really want to talk about other video games and things surrounding the video game universe. So I did a little bit of cleaning up, and I would like to do more higher quality content on this channel. So, if you would like to see more of that again, just let me know, be vocal about it, subscribe, like the video, and things like that. For now, I'm gonna kick back, do a podcast style discussion, because there's something I want to talk about in particular that, while I could do a very in-depth, style video on this kind of thing, it would just be a lot right now. So for now, I would like to just sit down and have a chit chat with you guys. So grab a Coke, grab your milk, grab your cookies, whatever you guys like to eat at, whatever time of day it is for y'all right now. And why don't we go ahead and talk about a topic that I'm sure a lot of you guys have thought about as well, especially if you clicked on this video. I am fully under the impression that it is time for the Nintendo Switch to die, right? And it's not to say that I hate the Nintendo Switch. I love the Switch. It's given a lot of great games, a lot of great memories throughout the years, and I'm super, super happy with what it is. However, we are coming up on the Switch's 6th anniversary, right? Now, for a major console, within the gaming realm, 6 years is a very standard amount of time before the company starts to move to the next big thing, right? So, for example, like the PS3 came out in about 2007 or something like that. The PS4 came out in 2012, I believe, something along those lines. Very, very similar distance, about 6 to 7 years, something like that, right? So we're coming up on that anniversary very soon, and I am praying that they reveal something new for us in this next big direct, especially because Nintendo is not going to be present at E3. So in reality, they could announce their next big whatever, their next big jump, leap, hoo-ha at any given time, and we have no idea when that's going to possibly be. And with Nintendo, we're usually expecting Nintendo Directs at least every 5 or 6 months apart from one another. It's been a long time since we've gotten one, and I'm really hoping that we get one soon, right? And so with that in mind, now I'm just really hoping that they reveal a new console. More now more so than ever. Primarily because I am tired. So tired of the Switch. Now, I don't remember if I mentioned it at the beginning of this video, but I am a PokeTuber, right? And I've been doing Pokemon content solely for the last 2 years, and one thing I've noticed about Pokemon is that, besides, in-house limitations with, the Pokemon Company really, keeping a grip on the necks of Game Freak and only giving them about a year or so to get their games together, every year so that they can meet their yearly quota. Another thing that I feel that their games are very limited by is Nintendo's hardware, because, when it comes to games, it's Pokemon and Nintendo are hand in hand. So, there's no separating from that, And that's unfortunate, because I've seen so much potential in the last couple of Pokemon games. And not only are they bogged down by time, but they're also bogged down by hardware. And that is, where I kind of started to draw the line here, with Pokemon Scarlet and Violet's most recent release. It was tiring. Just purely exhausting to look at just so many issues that could have been resolved with more time and, frankly, better hardware to work with. You know what I mean? So that's just one prime example. And while there are plenty of great functioning games on the Switch, not that, graphics are everything, it's still very limiting to work with something as, just generally weak as the Switch. There is no debating that the Switch is one of the weakest consoles of our generation. It's good, and it's very convenient because of its handheld nature, and it allows us to be on the go and everything like that. It's very nice, but it sacrifices power, and personally, I really don't think that that's necessary. So it's a little upsetting and a little frustrating to see, you know, so many of these different games just be held back and bogged down by the amount of power that's available to them, you know. And that's not the only thing, you know. I do love the Switch, and I really do, you know, believe that when it comes to gaming, graphical power isn't everything, but at the same time, you know, playing games on the PS5 and on the PC and stuff like that, it's just like it's laughable to even try. Like when especially when like a multi-platform game comes out, right? For example, Sonic Frontiers. I have absolutely no reason to get something like Sonic Frontiers on the Nintendo Switch over the PS5. There is no debating that. Solely because of hardware alone, it functions better, it looks better, it sounds better, and it completely clears. So on that note, it's about damn time for Nintendo to make a bigger move with the Nintendo Switch, right? And, you know, another one of the reasons that I'm just really sick of the Switch in general is because of how badly the UI is handled, right? This has been a discussion for years now. We have had just such weak UI with the Nintendo Switch, and it's just embarrassing, especially compared to, again, the Wii U, right? You go back to the Wii U, you turn that sucker on, you can hear sound. You can see me walking around in the background having conversations about the latest games that are coming out, or the most recent game that you played, you know? And it's just, you know, it's lively, it's, you know, energetic, you know, there's things going on. But then you come back to the Nintendo Switch and it's just pure, dead silence. And that's painful. It's so frustrating to hear that silence. It's almost louder than any song or background noise from the Wii U could ever hope to achieve. And it's just frustrating. And then you go to the Nintendo eShop. On the Wii U, we had music. We had different themes going on for each area. The Nintendo Switch is not only silent, but it's so unorganized and so mismanaged that indie games that are exclusive to the Switch, which I don't think there are too many of, I'm sure, but indie games that are exclusive to the Nintendo Switch get buried by nonsense, by complete utter garbage. And I'm sorry to say that, but you know, it's true. Going on to the Nintendo eShop is frustrating. To maneuver, to type in, to look for anything that you want, it sucks. And it's almost as if they did it on purpose, the way they have it set up, because they have this in-your-face menu, right? They set it up so that, like, nope, you're either looking at the best sellers, or you're looking at what's coming out next, and then there's just everything else. And they make sure to put their front runners up front and center so that you don't miss it. And that's fine and dandy and all. It's not even a bad tactic. But I don't know. I feel like there should be a better way to organize that and set it up so that other publishers could really get their stuff out there. You know what I mean? It seems like such a waste for them to put anything on the Switch as opposed to just putting it on PC, you know, where they know damn well that it could handle what they're trying to put out. You know, if I were a publisher, or if I were, you know, a game developer, I can't imagine wanting to be limited by the Nintendo Switch. Convenient, yes, but if I'm making like a high quality game, why bother? But that's just my take on it. If you're an indie developer, you're a video game developer of any kind, and you just so happen to see this, which is kind of unlikely given the situation right now, but if you happen to see this, please correct me if I'm wrong. But personally, I just don't see the purpose in it. So That's just my take, right? And then I also want to talk about the fact that, again, we are coming up on the 6th year, and I have noticed a substantial slowdown in the bigger games, right? Especially Nintendo's like big forerunners or IPs. You know what I mean? We did get Kirby last year, which was phenomenal. They did announce Pikmin 4, which is coming out at some point this year, apparently. But I kind of doubt it. If they were smart, I feel like they would probably save that for the next big thing, but whatever, never, better late than never, Pikmin 4, that's awesome, that's great. The Wii U only got a port of Pikmin 3, so I'm very much looking forward to Pikmin 4. But, it feels like we're just kind of lacking when it comes to the bigger releases sometimes here, you know what I mean? Fire Emblem Engage was great. I liked it a lot, but it's gotten a lot of a mixed reception, whether it be story, graphics, whatever. And, I feel like their time would have been better utilized if they were to just have halted what they were doing with Fire Emblem Engage and have taken the time to build that for the newer console, right? Because in turn, it would do two things. One, they would have time to fix up the graphical style, which isn't bad in my opinion. It's much better than any Fire Emblem game we've had so far, for the most part, at least on the Switch. And I love Three Houses, don't get me wrong, but it's definitely one of the better looking games. But they could fix up, those like PNG backgrounds that they got going on during conversations with between the characters and things like that. And they could also really they could have taken the time to touch upon that story, because it did feel like a little bit of a rush job, don't you think? So, I guess all I'm trying to say is that I can only imagine that the next big couple of games that are coming out, they have to be for the next big console, right? Because if there was any way in hell that we were to end up receiving Mario Odyssey 2, or whatever the next big Mario title is to come out after Super Mario Odyssey, if it were on the Switch, I feel like they would be doing themselves a huge disservice, right? Think about that for a second. Tears of the Kingdom is fine, right? To an extent, it's fine, and there's a couple of reasons for that. There's exceptions to that, right? It kind of plays off what its predecessors did with Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, in which it utilizes similar assets and a very similar world, kind of, to make something completely new out of it, right? And that's totally fine. The assets that they were utilizing were made to work on the Switch. And Breath of the Wild came out at the very, very beginning of its life cycle, the Switch's life cycle. So, in turn, it would make a lot of sense for Tears of the Kingdom, again, much like its predecessors, to come out on the same console, but at the end of its life cycle, right? Especially because, Tears of the Kingdom, it has a very similar graphical style to Breath of the Wild, which means it's going to function just as good as Breath of the Wild. And Breath of the Wild functioned very well. I don't have any worries about Tears of the Kingdom. However, it's high time for a lot of these other games, to get something new on something bigger, better, and grander, right? With Mario, getting another Mario Odyssey 2, it wouldn't feel good to get that on the Switch, Even at this point, Metroid Prime 4, restarting production is crazy to me in of itself. But to imagine that they restarted production just for it to end up on the Switch like a year or two from now, that's too frustrating to imagine. If I'm gonna get a Metroid game, especially something like Metroid Prime 4, I would want it to be at the highest quality possible, especially if we had to restart development so long ago now, which is frankly alarming at this point in time. Retro Studios, is that who's underway right now. I hope everything's all right over there. Please be taking care of it, okay? But for the time being, I'm just very worried. And frankly, if that is the case, that they had to restart and they're still working very hard at it right now, I would like for it to be present on the newer console. Maybe at the beginning of its life cycle, because the more the merrier. I say see the bigger projects for something like that. But again, that's just my take on things. Personally, I feel like it's just too late for the Switch to be getting any of the things that I've been wanting for so long, and I'm also sick of the whole... There's just so many different issues with the Switch outside of, you know, UI stuff, especially, you know, with, the millions of issues with Joy-Cons and, you know, all we had to get through with the whole screen scratching when putting it in your dock and all that. Like, it was, I mean, that was a long time ago. I don't think that happens anymore. It never happened to me, thank God, but my goodness. I think it's just time for something new, something better. And, you know, I just want to live in an era where we can comfortably move on to this next thing. And, you know, we can comfortably receive legacy content and have everything organized properly in an eShop that has, you know, some funky music in the background every time we go on there, you know? Maybe certain sections have different themes, you know? Maybe we get to an era with this new console where they actually do decide to give us more backgrounds for our, you know, our home screen, you know? Because white and black, first off, ain't nobody using the white. I mean, I'm sure there are people, but they ain't me. I definitely ain't people. I want to live in an era where we can purchase an Earthbound background, or like an Earthbound theme, or a Zelda theme, or Mario theme, a Pokemon theme. You know what I'm saying? I want to get to that era. I want to get to an era where, you know, when you see those videos on YouTube where somebody's comparing the graphics between, you know, all three versions of one game that's come out on the PS5, Xbox Series X, and the Switch, it's not getting laughed at when you get to the Switch because it's a complete joke. You know what I mean? So, it's time to move on. It's time to move on, and that's my take on it. If you agree with me, awesome. If you don't agree with me, that's totally fair. I don't blame you. But what are you guys thinking? Do you agree? Do you think that it's time to move on from the Switch? Or do you think that we should be keeping the Switch for another couple of years and that they can just get better with time? How are you guys feeling about that? Tell me everything that you guys are thinking in the comment section below, because you know for a fact that I am always going to be down there with you guys. But with that, I'm gonna get the hell up out of here. I'd like to thank you guys ever so much for watching. I truly do hope you enjoyed. Do me the greatest favor of dropping a like and a comment, and consider subscribing for more content just like this. And with that, I'm getting out. Thanks again, hope you enjoyed, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next video. Do me the greatest favor, taking good ass care, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!